got the console gutted. And being this is part 2 of the video, the unit's actually from 1966. I finally started pulling tubes out of it, and they're all dated like 17th week of 1966. I got the Sam's photo fact for it. This is for the SS203A. Just a slightly different cabinet, but the internals, the chassis are identical. Because Sam's did not have the SS203B. There's everything all laid out. This electrolytic can has 3 sections, and they're all identical voltages and capacitance values. This transformer on the side, actually, because I couldn't see it before, it does have a date code. It's actually 47th week of 65, it looks like. So some parts are from 65, most of it's from 66. Here's that BSR changer. Solid state amp. Not too much underneath. That should be easy to do. Everything's socketed like that. And then you have all those sockets there. So it's real easy to get this thing apart. All the parts came in that I needed. This does have a Selenium rectifier, which definitely should be replaced, given that it's 50s, you know, coming up on 50 years old. Thing is, you have to compensate for the voltage drop of a Selenium rectifier. I calculated it using Ohm's law, and I have to experiment, but I'm hoping it's, you know, a 30 ohm, 5 watt wire wound resistors will handle it. I always buy in bulk, and I always buy extra time I order stuff. I'm just going to replace it with a 1N4007 rectifier diode. The wax capacitors I'm just going to replace with film capacitors. I keep seeing everyone using those Sprague brand orange drops. Vichy. That's what I'll use there. Everything else is United Chemicon. And yeah, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna work on the FM stereo multiplex board first. Work on the solid state amplifier next. And work on the tubed tuner and everything else, and power supply last. And the other thing to note, this is a filament transformer for the vacuum tubes. It's not a series strung unit, it is a transformered unit. Oh, that was an easy recap for that board. That's the only cap I have to change. And this is a 47 microfarad 160 for comparison. Given 20% tolerances, it's not going to matter. Bigger's probably better in this case anyhow. Yeah, there are only 4 caps to change on this solid state amplifier part. Still United Chemicon caps. As to why I'm using radial lead instead of axial lead, DigiKey and Mauser both did not have hardly anything for axial lead capacitors. And since this is actually going to be hidden, I'm more concerned about functionality than appearances like this. And one orange drop right there to replace that one right here. So far the ones that were bad were these 500 microfarad 10 volts reading double their value on this board, and then that electrolytic on the multiplex, stereo multiplex board reading half what it should be. So good progress. Now onto the tuner slash preamp slash power supply. Well, I got the filter electrolytic out. It's really odd. It's 3 electrolytic caps basically, but they're all 100 microfarad 150 volt. The outside of the can is tied together with all 3, and it's the negative. And it does have good ESR, but all 3 are only reading 35 microfarads, like 35, 38, so that's just way off. And I'm not gonna restuff it or anything. I'm just gonna, it's mounted on the circuit board. I'm going to put all new caps in. Do that. Well, here's that capacitor there. Same values. Can common. This right here, all the outside ones. This one, this one right here up top, were tied to ground. As you can see, how it's shown on there, they're all tied to ground. Then you have this one, and this one right there. Those are like that, but this is how it turned out. It actually worked out nicely. I have them arranged just like that, and it works just fine. So now there's a electrolytic right there, and there's another electrolytic floating around somewhere I have to tackle, as well as that selenium rectifier. And there, I just recapped this whole thing from before. There's 3 electrolytics there, little electrolytic there, I forget what value already, and electrolytic there. And that's all that was on the circuit board. And there were 2 wax capacitors. I believe that one was 0.1 microfarad, and the other one on the bottom was 0.33 microfarad. If I flip it over, yeah, that guy right there. That's it. This was really, really easy. This is all that came out of it. And these 2 electrolytics. Now here's the other thing. Remember I was trying to date this unit. A lot of late 1965 components, though I think the finished product was in 66, because like I said, the tubes are dated from 66. Like if you look at these electrolytics here, this is the, I hate when cameras do that, 1965 45th week. But then this other electrolytic is 1966 10th week. So that makes sense. A lot of 1966 date stamps, especially like on these cans here. You see how it says 6617. They're dated like that all over. So yeah, it's a 66 unit. And so that's done. These are all the caps I had to change. Not very many at all, because the rest are all those disc capacitors, and those don't go bad. So 1 orange drop under here, 3 electrolytics. I mean, it looks so different because there's like nothing in there now. But you don't actually see that. This is how it looks sitting in the console. And a little electrolytic there, which was this thing. I keep all the parts I change out of these things, but yeah, I just like how this turned out here. I wasn't sure if I could make this fit or not, but yeah, it's all, the negatives are all tied together as ground, and they're all the same value. Okay, so next step is change this selenium rectifier and a dropping resistor to keep the voltage almost the same. Well, now I'm replacing the selenium rectifier The way this works is each plate on here is about a volt drop. If you calculate that, based on, it's 140 volt at 200 milliamps. So you take 6 volts divided by 0.2, that'll give you the dropping resistor value, which is approximately 30. Actually, it is 30 ohms. What am I saying? Yeah, and this is a 0.7 drop, but it doesn't matter. It's a little bit larger. It's okay. This is a 1N4007 rectifier diode in its place. So this little diode can replace this whole Selenium rectifier. However, as you know, I mentioned I have to add a dropping resistor. So there's the diode. Then it goes up and into the dropping resistor as so. That was the last thing I needed to replace on this to complete the restoration. So, I mean, there's the Selenium rectifier and all these capacitors here, which weren't that many, because everything else are ceramic disc types. And as for the carbon composition resistors, they all check within what they should be. It's been stored in a climate-controlled area all its life, so it should be okay for now. I'm going to test all the tubes next, then clean all the potentiometers. Then I'm going to clean up the chassis a bit. And I actually have to, I'm not actually done recapping it. I have 2 capacitors, as you've seen, on the speakers for the crossover I need to replace. Those are bipolar 2.2, which is just fine. I just grab 2 of these guys and put them in there. And that should complete the restoration of this part. And after I do that, I got to clean this up. I do have the new stylus for it, needle. One is diamond tip for 3345 and sapphire 78. Then I got one that's dual sapphire. I just got both. This is the original one that was in there. It was actually missing the needle altogether for vinyl, or LP and 45s. It's funny, the 2 Olympic tubes on here, whoever OEM'd them is made in Japan, but all the Olympic tubes on the main tuner chassis is all USA made. Okay, and so the next step for me is to clean all the contacts of deoxit. Well, I just deoxited. I just made a verb out of that, but deoxidated the controls up there and all along there. Next step I gotta do is, they did something really odd with the speakers for the grounds. This isn't even soldered on, it's just wrapped around like that. It's stranded wire wrapped around the lug. These are for spade terminals. And the wires are long enough. My question is, why did they have to put these on there? That makes no sense. I'm just going to take those off and use that to integrate the new capacitor for the speakers, which we'll see in a minute how I'm going to do that. A good amount of time later, I just finished polishing up the... I actually cleaned the wires on the stuff with simple green. Turn this completely black, but I even cleaned the top of the amplifier chassis. Cleaned this up just as well. I'm just going to leave the original 50-plus-year-old tape on it because it's still intact. Just create more of a mess trying to remove it. So I got it. I guess one of the things I did just do, as you can see, this is a little bit icky right there. I was rinsing off the board. There's a piece of reflective white tape right here. Looked like it was brown or black. That's how much dirt was caked on it. This had dirt caked on it too. This was black. That orange needle indicator. And I even polished up the bulb and the FM stereo bulb. And As well as I sort of cleaned the top of that metal piece, even though it's going to be hidden. Just figured might as well do it. And that's it. I'm going to go over there and start rewiring the capacitor for the speakers. I came up with a better way of doing what they did. Put the capacitor in line, soldered together, and heat shrink tubing if it wants to focus. Just like bipolar electrolytics. I like it. I like it better than that. Here's the old capacitors, which I should test just to see how they are doing. Here's the two woofers out. I just cleaned them up with the brush attachment of the Electrolux Super J. Everything's in good condition. Just a little cloth tear in the felt dust cap, if you want to call it that, which is harmless. I'm not going to worry about that. I'll leave that alone. This had a bunch of that dirt you saw in the first video just laying in there. I just took the brush attachment all around it, got this off, so there's no more dust on it. It's nice and clean, as is the other one. Now this is clean, if you can tell. It's weird how like where the grill was, it kind of faded that brown color, but it's still good. It's not a problem. And the tweeters are good. This is all they are. I mean, just high frequencies are coming out, that's all. Took the vacuum into there and cleaned that all out, but that's some unfinished wood. That's about the extent of the cleaning I can do on it, as is the whole inside. Just a good vacuuming, which is a major improvement to what it looked like when I first got this thing. I got the pilot lamp laying there. I just took it out. I'm gonna clean it, as strange as that sounds, and stick it back in there so it's spotless. And I'm going to try reassembling this unit. Not done yet, I'm just at a stopping point, and I'll finish it later. I started hooking everything back up, but it looks excellent in there. I mean, wires nice cleaned up, amplifier chassis nice and shiny, stereo multiplex module, or board, whatever. And I like also how the new crossover cap looks. I'm just keeping it as original as possible, but that seems to be a bit better. Soldered in place instead of crimped. That's why the other one fell out. And I vacuumed it one more time, got as much. It's clean. It is clean. It's just I'm OCD like that. And everything's looking excellent so far. And just how this mounts up here. And I'm going to do an electronic test with at least the AM/FM tuner, maybe auxiliary input later, so I get it back together and work on the record changer later. But yeah, this is coming along quite nicely, and I can't wait to hear how it's going to perform now. Well, everything's all wired up. Except the record changer. I will do that later. I just want to test the functionality of the amp and tuner and everything else right now, but it's exciting. Now, only problem is, and this is my failure, I don't have very many cheater cords with the type of connector that would slide on there, so I can't get that off, and I don't want to damage it by forcing it, so I'm just going to put the back cover back on for testing. But we'll see how this thing performs after the recap. It did it. This is good. Still operating out the antennas hooked up. But hopefully the camera's picking up. I definitely got treble now. Treble, no hum. It was a complete success. And a brand new rectifier. And absolutely no hum. I mean, when I had it on the first day, the hum kept getting quieter and quieter, but this channel still had a little bit of hum. This one didn't. Now, it's absolutely perfect. So, the recapping was a complete success. I have treble now. The treble control works. I cleaned the controls, reassemble this. Then the next step is to work on the record player. But it sounds damn good. I'm tripping over my solder. So yeah, this was good. The recapping worked. Currently disassembling the BSR changer to lubricate it. Just the C-clamp here. You have to do that, it comes right off. The turntable part was not frozen to this unit. That was okay. This O'Reilly could probably use some, I'm sorry, I'm not even looking at the camera, I'm looking, yeah, but this could use some cleaning. The spindle motor is still free spinning, actually. This lubricated. This was, like I said, this was stored in a climate controlled area, it's okay. I did buy the Sam's Artifact for this particular unit, and what makes it unique is, not unique, but you know, it's older than the unit, the HiFi console itself. This is an older BSR design. So, let's see what it has to say here. It tells you how to adjust everything. It tells you lubrication. And it tells you what to lubricate. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now. I have Phono Lube grease to put on this, as well as for the motor. I'm going to put some zoom spout into it, just a shading pull motor. So let's do that. Following the instructions here, lubrication, changer mechanism, and motor, everything is greased up. There's the main cam gear. I lubricate with Phono Lube. Wants to focus. Come on. There we go. Phono Lube. That's all greased. The idler tire has no flat spots. It's good. I just cleaned it with rubber cleaner. Everything that's good. And then this bearing here is greased. That's greased. And underneath, it doesn't look pretty, but it'll smooth itself out once it's in use. And the shading pull motor is also, I put oil in it, which is very free turning now. Now I'm going to reassemble the top. Well, actually I should clean it first and I'm going to reassemble it. Here it is all back together. I cleaned the power cords up and put new tape on it to hold it. Tape because that's what was on there before. I'm trying to keep it consistent. Now, I didn't put the seat clamp on yet. This is with everything disengaged. There's no braking. So it's like that right now. Real smooth. If I do turn it on, at least manual, if I can, it's obviously gripping because it's real tough to turn backwards. So, I mean, the only thing I could think of why I wasn't turning before was the idler was slipping. So I'm going to put it back in the unit now.